It's time to start Lefay in a central position. Also, we must start Mayenda against Luton. Welcome back to Where Black Cats Walk, episode 28 of 20 minutes of weekly Sunderland chat. Also, our panel are going to reflect on the window, who did the best of all the teams in the January transfer month that's just gone. Our worst ever Sunderland manager and our worst ever Sunderland midfield needs completing, and our worst ever Sunderland side. And we're asking some of our team at the end of the video how they fell in love with Sunderland, which is, of course, our theme this week on this Valentine's week. Welcome back, Leo, Charlie, John, and Jamie. Thank you very much for watching. If you've only just come across the channel, where have you been? But we appreciate you being here. It's 20 minutes of reviewing of the games and all things Sunderland. So let's get straight into the Watford game. Then, shall we? Leo, there's lots of people coming out on Twitter saying, once again, Regis isn't learning from his mistakes. We go 1-0 up, we go too defensive. Was it? I feel bored in asking the same question here, but was it more of the same?
I mean, I see how people have been saying that for previous games when we've had our backs against the wall and they've put pressure on us. I think there was a 10-20 minute spell where they were the better team and they were getting the better of us. But, you know, we've conceded 2 goals to a penalty and a worldie from 25 yards out. Apart from that, we actually kept them quite quiet in terms of big chances. I think Patterson made a good save straight off the kickoff where the lads tried it from halfway. But apart from that, you know, yes, there was a spell where we sat back a little bit, but actually during that period we looked quite comfortable, and it was just those 2 moments that were the goals we conceded.
Charlie, is the defence a little bit of a worry at the moment? Because we add into that to the Middlesbrough goals, which of course didn't look great from a defensive point of view, plus these 2 against Watford. Are we wobbling a bit at the back?
I mean, a little bit. I think they just couldn't deal with their power they had up top. I mean, the lads, I don't know his name, but the lad who they had up top was causing us all manner of problems. They couldn't get the ball off him. They had Musa Sissoko playing as a left forward as well and just lumping it up to him. We just couldn't deal with it. So it just meant they had an easy out. So we're kind of always under a bit of pressure. Other than that, like Leo was saying, that defensively they were actually all right. I don't think we played particularly well, mind, but they were never really backs against the wall or anything. It was just a bit. The second goal I think came from exactly the same as the first goal at Borough, though, with Roberts losing it down the right, and then there was just no midfield. There was no pressure on the ball for the loser to shoot, so I suppose that is a bit of a worry, but I'm not that concerned, to be honest. I might say different on Wednesday, depending on what happens, but for now, I'm all right.
Yeah, we've got 15 games left, though, guys, haven't you? You can't keep... I know we're saying it's all right and we don't mind, we didn't lose, but there's only 15 or so games left, Jamie, and if he keeps making these fundamental errors, you're going to find yourself smack bang in the playoffs, which you've got a chance to finish second still.
Yeah, I agree. I think the frustrating thing is we do the hard work away from home, then you look at your home games on paper and think we've got Plymouth and Watford. We've got 6 points there, and do the players, do the squad feel the same? Do they look at those games and think, you know what, we've done the hard work, we turn up today, we win the game? I think our inability to kill teams off when we're on top, you go 1-0 up against Watford at home, they're struggling for form, haven't got the big players are missing. I think teams like Leeds go on and kind of put 2 and 3 in before half time, and we've struggled with that this season. We haven't won many games by more than a single goal. So that gives teams hope to nick a goal or an equaliser at the other end. And if they're 2-0, 3-0 down, they'll probably give up. Whereas at 1-0, they've got a chance in the game. And that's where we fell short this season, I think, in quite a few games. The margin of our lead has always just been 1 goal.
Yeah. Let's look at some tweets, shall we, from the game. And if you're watching this, then we're obviously recording this before the midweek game. So if you don't want to listen to the review of the Watford game, just skip ahead 3 minutes because we're going to talk about the transfer window in a couple of minutes as well. John, Sunderland AFC fans' view says the changes need to be Roberts out, Mayenda in, Samed out, Job in, Rig out, Alexic in. Saying I'd rest Rig, give Alexis an opportunity on the left, and move Lefay inside. And that move Lefay inside was one that rang out from lots and lots of other points of view, saying he's better centrally. Do you agree with all of that, John?
Yeah, I do. To be fair, I think it's time now to put Lefay in into the central position. I think we can all agree Rig probably need to rest. He's played a lot of minutes, doesn't really come off a lot. Obviously, I think we missed Job yesterday a lot against a big physical team. I'd probably played him yesterday and rested him maybe midweek, but that's one of them. And why Mayenda isn't starting, I'll never know, and why he didn't come on before. Sort of Jan Paveda and Alexic is a baffling one, because he created some opportunities sort of straight away. I'm probably getting frustrated with Roberts a little bit as well. So yeah, those changes for me I'd happily have them straight in. It's not a criticism of Samed. I just think we don't need to be so defensive, and having Daniel in there is more of a, even though he's going back in the defensive position, he's still more of an attacking threat, sort of starting the attacks. So I don't think we need to go, we went 1-0 up sort of early-ish. We never really sort of kick on, and, that's a big frustrating thing. And we need players like Mayenda who are going to fashion those chances out of nothing, because we're not getting a lot out of Roberts. We're shoehorning Lafay in. So yeah, for me, 100%, I'd go with those.
Okay. Alexis divides people, Leo. Thanks for that, John. Jacob here says Alexis has had few opportunities and has cost us 4 points. Kevin did agree with the previous one. He says, I totally agree. Alexis is quick and skillful. He's worth a start on the left. Neil is now better as a defensive midfielder, and Mayenda gives us more of attacking threat. Where do you stand on Alexis being out there?
Well, he obviously missed the chance in the dying moments of the game, and as coming on as a sub, he hasn't had many minutes. You can maybe put that past you, but that's happened twice now, as that tweet says. I think it was Millwall away was the other game where he had a big chance right at the end to win it. But in terms of his general play, I think he looks very comfortable on the ball. He looks like that mould of player that we've seen the past couple of years through Lafay, through Roberts, even when Ahmad was here, of those quick tiki-taka style, play it through teams. But I think from what I've seen so far to start, I don't think I've seen enough. I think we kind of, as soon as we brought Lafay in, we kind of just chucked our sheesh out the squad, and all of a sudden his name isn't coming into anyone's mind or anyone when they're talking about lineups. And he's got sent off to Portsmouth. I think we've missed a big thing there of keeping him for another option on that left side. Because I definitely agree that Enzo should be in the middle. You see how he picks apart defences and midfields with his passing, that in the middle, being able to do it both sides. I think it would give us the world of good.
Yeah. Okay. One more, Charlie. Povieda. When he came on, people were saying actually he's better than Roberts, and should start against Luton. What's your thoughts on that?
It's just kind of more of the same. Like he did look bright, and he was really trying, because I know people have been saying that he's actually just here to pick up a wage and whatever, which I think is probably a bit harsh. And he's been fine whenever he's came on, except for falling over in the last minute against Borough. But him and Roberts are just kind of like the same thing. I never think either of them are going to create anything. I never think they're either going to score. I don't know. Like Mayenda just is probably a better bet out there at the minute, because he does genuinely look a threat, and he's getting a lot more creative as well. That ball he played through for Isidore when he should have scored at the end was great, perfectly weighted. So I feel like he's probably your best option out there, which is also some turnaround from back at Blackburn when he missed that sit and everybody was calling for his head. But fair play. I'm not convinced by Paveda yet, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now.
All right. Jamie, let's get your thoughts on it, because Cam says here, bite my head off if you want, but I didn't think Povieda looked too bad. He was quite smooth on the ball and wanted to attack. He had zero support with him, so he had to keep passing it safe. Chris Dunn says he was decent, but like Roberts, he dribbles too much. He needs to pass more, but he was full of running, at least. And Drifter there says he needs to start Povieda ahead of Roberts against Luton on Wednesday. So, Jamie, do you agree?
No, not particularly. I wouldn't start Povieda. I think, like we said, Mayenda's the player has to come into the team. I think he's he's proved time and time again in games at home, he's got that ability to slide a pass through to Wilson. I think Sheffield United game, they combined really well. He's done it on other games, which can't think off the top of my head, but he's got that ability to slide a pass through. Times his run perfectly, and he finds Wilson quite often. For Vader, for me, I mean, yeah, he's got fancy footwork, but he was doing it near the corner flag. I mean, with nobody kind of really pressing him, I don't think he's going to create much for the team, if I'm totally honest. And we just need Mundell back on either side, and we hopefully kind of get our balance back again, but not for me.
All right. It's a massive week for Sunderland, really, because you've got the easier of the fixture on Wednesday night, John, against Luton. Leeds have got an away trip to Watford. Sheffield United have got Middlesbrough, and Burnley have got a whole side who are reserves. So you've got the easier fixture. And then beating Leeds on Monday night, as the whole country hopes that you do, could just turn this whole season around for you, couldn't it? The chances of this being a 6.5 days?
Yeah, of course. You like to say you never know. You never know. We seem to struggle on what we'd say the easier home games where we should dominate, and sort of, we haven't really, but we haven't won a game by more than 2 goals for a while. We haven't really turned anyone over. These teams keep turning up, and you think, well, today's the day, and either we scrape a point or we just about beat them. So these games, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, we'll smash Luton, and it just doesn't happen like that. We're more suited to the games, against Leeds, like Middlesbrough. For some reason, we're just, I don't know, up for the big games. The Luton one is probably one of those games where we just want to win, and then let's go to Leeds and see what we can do. I think the games that let us down is the ones like your game yesterday. If you win that and you beat Luton, I think then the pressure is maybe off us to go to Leeds and maybe accept a point, as opposed to we've obviously dropped a couple of points yesterday. Hopefully you win in midweek and then you go to Leeds, and then can we get a result? I'm not saying we can't, because I think we can, but it's probably one of the toughest places to go in the league, even though we've got one of the best home records. So we know we can, but whether we do or not is another matter. But like I say, hopefully you could turn it all on its head. I think there's plenty of games to go. 15 is, I'm sure there's plenty of twists and turns. You've got to expect Sheffield United to maybe drop off a bit, Leeds to even drop a bit, and there's a famous song for Leeds, isn't there? Falling apart, and you don't know if that's coming, and are Burnley going to keep it up? You just don't know. But we need to make sure we're in a really good position that if that does happen, we can take full advantage.
Okay. All right, then let's leave the games there for a second. The transfer window is shut since we last saw you as well. So let's have a quick look at kind of how it left you guys. Oh, that's the wrong one. Onto that one. First of all, in terms of players coming in, many people, Leo, are saying Sunderland actually won the transfer market with what happened. Would you agree with that? With what you've seen there? I mean, did you get everything that you thought, everything that you needed?
I don't, to be honest. I think I was excited to hear Jayden Dan's coming in, because what I've seen of him, he looks bright, but it is just another one of these situations where it's sign an inexperienced kid and sign someone on loan who's injured for most of the time he'll be at the club. Obviously, getting Wilson on a permanent is the highlight of the transfer window. Although Lefay is there, I think getting Isidore down permanent now, because I think in the summer there will be a lot of names after him. Yeah. If we were to hold off on that loan, obviously Lefay is brilliant, and then if we get promoted, we've got that obligation to buy. So I think in terms of those two at the top there, it's been a great window, but I still feel like we could have done more.
Absolutely. And then the departures. I mean, first of all, it's good to see, Charlie, that Job's name's not on this list, and Chris Riggs' name is not on this list as well. We it puts a pressure on to get promotion, doesn't it? Because you just know in the summer that if you're not promoted, those two are probably going to be on their way. But what do you make of this departures list here? Any disappointments? You've already highlighted perhaps Adil's movement was a bad one.
I've not really got much problem with it. I don't really rate him that highly, and then also he'd only have been in the squad for another 2 weeks maybe. But then because Mundell's back he's supposed to be back in training now. Watson's back next week. Like, he'll have just gone down the pecking order again. So if he can get playing at Portsmouth, and he should do well down there, if he can get playing, and then all of a sudden his value might go up, then we can sell him on in the summer, stuff like that. Or just get him back in the side if he actually kicks on a bit. Same with Abdullah Bar. That move to Dunkirk's better than I thought. It turns out they're fourth in that second tier, so they're clearly a half decent team. Then Connolly and Russin as well, like, fine, they can go. Neither of them. Connolly was like all right at best. Russin I thought was hopeless, but whatever. I think just to not let go of any of the key lads makes the window like a 6 or 7, and then to get rid of a few fringe players as well. I think that'll do me for now. I would have preferred a right winger as well, but I think that's a decent job they've done.
Okay, Jamie, your thoughts briefly?
Yeah, I agree with that. The big thing was none of the big players left when there was mumblings that they might have done at one point. This is all again great business, and maybe one, maybe 2 players short, but overall, I don't even complain with how we've left up.
All right, brilliant. Thank you very much. We have for the last 3 weeks or so been putting together our worst ever Sunderland 11 with just one position now to fill in. So let's hope that these 4 can do the job and fill it in for us. So far, we've put Lee Camp in goal, Callum McFadden, Pappy Tilliop, Leo Helds and Donald Love in the back 4, Danny Graham and Milton Nunes up front. And we've got Glenn Louvens on the bench as well. So we just need a midfield here, John, if that's okay. Doesn't really matter left backs, right? It doesn't matter left-sided, right-sided centre backs. We're not really kind of too fussed. But who's the worst midfielder you've ever seen for Sunderland?
There's been plenty, trust me. But I don't think in the worst 11 you cannot not put Jack Rodwell in there, and that's. I think even ability-wise, early days, I think he was all right. He was decent. I remember a tackle against Tottenham and it got everyone off their feet, and the cheer was like a goal. And you really thought, we've got a player here. But then, we've all seen the Netflix stuff, and sort of taking the money, which I don't even begrudge him the money, to be fair, because we gave it to him. But for a team that demands an absolute trier, doesn't matter ability-wise, but to sack it off like that and just sort of take the money, and in our worst time as well, where he could have contributed, he didn't. So for me, he just has to be in there, and it's not necessarily about his ability. It's the lack of we'll say a spine, shall we say?
I think it's a decent shout. To blame Everton for that one, I'm afraid. Leo.
Rodwell is obviously the first name that comes to mind, and I think it will be for anyone that's watched the Netflix documentary as well. I'm looking more towards the League One years, or maybe the Championship year that we went down. I'm just thinking of people that have just give absolutely nothing or no value to the midfield, and I think that Championship year we signed Ovi Ajaria on loan, and although he had little moments in games where he was looking a bit hopeful, he never done anything, and that was when we went on that big haul in January to try and stay in the division, and not a single one of those signings paid off. That'll be my.
Charlie.
I'm torn between Dylan McGeoch and then also Jason Denier, because even though he's a centre-back, we played him in midfield and he was hopeless because he was really not very good technically. He just ran around, but not in a good way, which our fans would kind of get behind him. He literally just ran around. So either him or Dylan McGeoch, because McGeoch I thought was just completely a waste of space, and he was injured 90% of the time as well.
Okay. Jamie, finish this off for us.
I'm sure he was called Cabral. I think we signed him. I think he played one game. He came from Champions League background. It was like a perfect fit for what we need, like a box-to-box midfielder. I think he played one game. Never got anyone near the first team squad, and we never saw him again. So Cabral.
All right. Okay, brilliant. If you've missed any, let us know in the comments. We also need a worst ever manager for this team as well. What's the worst ever Sunderland manager you've seen, John?
Oh, I have to go with Phil Parkinson. Just awful manager, a dour man. Just was happy to accept a point at Gillingham away, which is a disgusting statement in itself. No disrespect, but I'm not having that at all. Yeah, the day he left was a very, very happy day in my house, I can assure you. So Phil Parkinson for me.
Okay. Any others from anybody? Thought Michael Beale might get a shout.
I feel like it has to either be Beale or Simon Grayson. But I think especially because it's fresh on the mind, I think Beale has to be up there.
Chris Coleman's up there for me.
Oh God, you've got one each. Wow.
You see what David Moyes is doing at West Ham, then you think, how is he so bad? He kind of threw the towel in from day one, really.
Okay, I can't put David Moyes as your worst ever manager. No, I'm not having that. Sorry. Right, we'll pick one out there. Let us know who the worst one is in the comments. Finally, it's Valentine's week this week, so we'll pick on. Let's pick on Jamie, shall we? To answer this one. How did you fall in love with Sunderland, Jamie? How old were you? What was your first game? Who's to blame for your life of?
I suppose like most Sunderland fans, you're born into your family's Sunderland fans, and I went along with my dad when I was 7, 8 year old. First game was at Roker Park against Crystal Palace, and I think we got beat 2-1. I want to say Jeff Thomas scored the winner, but I'm guessing. But I'm pretty sure it was Jeff Thomas, Crystal Palace, around maybe 1990ish. So that was and that was been the same ever since.
Everybody else come from a Sunderland family, or any of you rebellious against Newcastle fans in the family? No. Sunderland through.
Sunderland fans from Newcastle.
Oh, how does that work?
It's because my granddad is initially from like Durham way, so he lived in Newcastle his whole life, but he's initially from Wellington. So then my dad just grew up supporting Sunderland, and then me.
Right, we'll let you off then. Share your love for Sunderland in the comments. Let us know your stories. We'll share some of these next week. Right, good luck against Luton. You'll be in my home accumulator definitely on Wednesday, and then we'll all be watching, of course, live on Sky on Monday as the big one as Leeds. Melia's in form though. He's saved a couple against Coventry. He's not going to drop any more into the net this time round. See you next week. We'll preview it all. Thanks for watching us. Drop us a like and a subscribe. Have a good week, everyone.